Just let it go cause it's on tonight. Round and round we go. Well, we stop, nobody knows. We'll stand together and we'll let them know. Mess with the bull, get the horns, that's the way it goes. Razor, razor. Everybody get together, take your hands and razor, razor. Everybody, razor. Get together, everybody get together, don't be afraid to raise. I'm tearing away. Pieces are falling, I can't seem to make them stay. You run away. Faster and faster, you can't seem to get away. Break! There's a reason for questions unanswered. I just don't see everything. Yes, I'm inside you. Tell me, how does it feel to feel like this, just like I do? I don't care about anyone else but me. I don't care about anyone. I don't care about anyone else but me. I don't care about anyone. Do I really want this? Sometimes I scare myself, I just can't let it go. Can you believe it? Everything happens for reasons I just don't know. I don't care about anyone else but me. I don't care about anyone.
Okay, we are live now. As I mentioned earlier today, I was going to be going live for Trump's April Fool's Day speech about Iran. I might have made a mistake with the time. I thought it was starting at 9, but maybe it already happened. I don't really know, to be honest. But nonetheless, we'll get into it a little bit. I'll hear what he has to say, and I'll just give my reaction to it. So if my internet does cut out, I do apologize, but I will record from everything my end starting now. So everything looks good. I will start the video. I just want to see myself, okay? Alright, yeah, I look okay.
Defense Secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be
Well, I
waiting?
think you could say it both. The beginning, it's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar, they have no telecommunications, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. These were ships, these were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off the ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be a determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the straight if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands. Since their last hit, they had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder. Thank you very much for being here. Go ahead. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you approve of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over? Are
No,
you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
to Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that, and why should Americans trust Marco Rubio to negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history. Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration. They trust Marco, and so do the American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very bad to a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people living on the Cuban-American vote, which I got at record levels. Very important. Those people are very important to me. I know what they went through. They went through hell. Some of them have gone on to be some of the most successful people in the country. Cuban-American business people, some of them are like the most successful in the country. And a lot of them are friends of mine because I've been fighting this battle with them for a long time. The Castro regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without Venezuela. They couldn't have made it. And we cut them off from everything else. So, yeah, they're going to make either a deal or we'll do it just as easy anyway. Yeah. Please, go ahead.
Footage that shows that an American missile strike and a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it, and I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries, you know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more, but whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic, it's sold to other countries, but that's being investigated right now. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar, they have no telecommunications, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. These were ships. These were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off the ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be a determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well,
are
we're
you
looking to
considering
keep the
measures
oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. We have the best military. We have the best equipment. We have, I believe, the best generals. We have the best. And this went very quickly. We talked about that with President Putin. He was very impressed with what he saw because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. You know, Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us and Israel, and that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And they would have used it long before this press conference. And we might have had a much different press conference if we had a press conference at all. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
You said you've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill? And Senator Thune said today it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy, it's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act, the Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. When a voter, we want to be able to see a picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is a citizen of the United States of America, and we want no mail-in ballot scams. So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things to it: no men and women's sports and no transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want it's mutilization of our children, and we don't want that. So we added those two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points. It polls at 86% with Democrats. Think of that. The overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time. You know, as an example, virtually nobody has nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it. Yeah.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S. or?
Someone in the chat said I'm bald. Yeah, you see all that hair? Maybe it's a little hard with the lighting in here. But, yeah, not bald. So, short? Yeah, I'm short. But not bald. Don't know who you are, Miss Anonymous Secretary. People these days, they don't think before they speak.
Reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Do you have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new supreme leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran with
Well,
another
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Thank you, sir. You've said you have someone in mind to be the new Iranian leadership, if not the Ayatollah's son. What are you looking for in that person? Are you looking at someone internal, given that you just said that their leadership has been
I
decimated
like the
and
idea
wiped
of,
out?
you know, internal and eternal, come to think of it. But I like the idea of internal because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. We have a woman, Delcy, who has been, you know, president of the country, very respected, she's doing a great job. And it's, you know, no disruption. We had, as you remember, Iraq, where everybody got fired. The military got fired, the police got fired, the politicians got fired. There was nobody. And you know what they turned into? ISIS. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So I would like to see people that are inside go. Now, they talk about the son of the Shah. They talk about other people. But, you know, hasn't been there in many, many years. We have a formula that's been very good so far, and I think it'll continue to be good. The relationship is extraordinary with Venezuela, smart country. We've taken out 100 million barrels of oil. It's right now in Houston being taken care of and made so beautiful. And you have to see this at work. They have, it's brought to the refineries. It's being refined in Houston, which is made exactly for that product. And so far, but it's 100 million barrels of oil, and now they have another 100 million barrels coming. And it's like a partnership. We're getting along so well with them. It's great for Venezuela, and it's great for the United States. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report. Yeah, please.
You said earlier that we've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. What do you consider enough? What's your baseline?
Where they're not going to be starting the following day to develop a nuclear weapon. Where they'll look at that man and some other people from the administration and say, all right, we're not going to do it. They were not willing to say that. And when Steve called up and he said that to me, I said, well, here we go. Let's do it the hard way. But the hard way, I think, is probably the easy way. When basically I can see that they will no longer have any capacity whatsoever for a very long period of time of developing weaponry that could be used against the United States, Israel, or any of our allies. We have great allies in the Middle East, great countries that are allies. And they were staying out of it until they got hit. Someday they'll have to do a story. Why did he do that? Why did they do that? But they were going to hit them. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. I believe, upon information and belief, but I believe that he was going to, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take over the Middle East. Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite, because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks. But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last 6 months. And those missiles were aimed at various countries. And when you look at over 1,000 missiles shot at like UAE, they were looking to take over the Middle East. We got there first. We're lucky. I'll tell you what, the Middle East and those countries, very rich countries, are very lucky that I was president instead of somebody else.
Vice President when it comes to U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so, no. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic about going, but he was quite enthusiastic. But I felt it was something we had to do. I didn't feel we had a choice. If we didn't do it, they would have done it to us. I felt, based on the negotiations that were being had by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco and Pete, and everybody was involved, I felt that they were looking to tap us along before they hit, and I thought they were going to hit. And if they hit us first, that would have been a very bad thing. In the back, please, in the back. About the Strait, you mean? Yeah, well, I want to keep it open. I want to keep it good. You know, it doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China. We're really helping China here and other countries because they get a lot of their energy from the Straits. But, hey, look, we have a good relationship with China. It's my honor to do it. Yeah.
Leader, you have called him an unacceptable choice. So does he have a target on his back, and how can you say
I don't want to say whether or not he does, because that would be inappropriate. But, hey, look, I had a target on my back because, as you people wrote pretty well, they caught the assassin that was after me. So we just got them first, but they caught the assassin. They have him now in custody that was after me. So, you know, but people don't like to mention that, but they did catch him. And I'd like to congratulate our military, Secret Service, FBI, all of the people that worked on that, but they did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave, but they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
President, as of today, there have been 8 U.S. military fatalities associated with the war in Iran. How many American deaths are you willing to have in this war?
Well, as I said before, when you have conflict, it's been a very big 2 days, I have to say. And we'll be heading back to Washington, D.C. right after this. And I'd like to wish everyone a very good evening. And over the weekend, the United States military and the Israeli Defense Forces continued Operation Epic Fury very successfully. Over the past 9 days, we've carried out some of the most powerful and complex military strikes and maneuvers the world has ever seen. Now, you add that up to all of the other things, Midnight Hammer, getting rid of the nuclear threat from Iran, which was a big moment in history, in my opinion, and the great success we've had in Venezuela and all other places. Every place we've gone, we've had tremendous success. But while we're doing all of these things, we're achieving major strides toward completing our military objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete. We've wiped every single force in Iran out very completely. Most of Iran's naval power has been sunk. It's on the bottom of the sea. It's almost 50 ships. I was just notified it's 51 ships. I didn't know they had that many. Didn't last very long. And these are fighting vessels. They're meant to fight, but they're not meant to fight against us. We continue to target Iran's drone and missile capabilities. Their drones are way down. Their drone manufacturing's been hit starting today. We know all of the places they manufacture the drones, and they're being hit one after another. Their missile capability is down to about 10%, maybe less. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day, but it's all resulting in a 90% decline in various things, but in particular, Iranian missile launchers, and 83% drop in drone launchers. As you know, the drone launchers are pretty well shot, but we're at over 90% decline in the Iranian missile launchers, which is very hard to reproduce and very hard to get. And usually what we were able to do through great equipment, a lot of smart people, as soon as they sent a missile up from a launcher, we were able to knock out that launcher within a period of 5 minutes or less, accurately, right on the noggin. So now we have low-cost interceptors effectively combating Iranian drones, and our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran and buried deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And we're also annihilating the manufacturing base that the regime uses to build drones and missiles at a rate that nobody thought was possible. We're knocking them out. We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly. We're ahead of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here, in addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe 3 times. And we, as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our nation, to be stuck with the situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years, killing people for 47 years, whether it's the barracks or even the SS Cole where they were involved. Very strongly, they always denied it. But where they were very strongly involved, and all of the people that died through the roadside bombs, died and are right now walking around with no legs, no arms, a face that's been so badly damaged. The Iranian regime has been attacking Americans and spreading terror for 47 years, and despite these countless opportunities to renounce their nuclear ambitions, which they had just a short while ago, they told Mr. Witkoff, who is standing right over here, they said, they actually said, we want to keep building. Essentially, in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. If we didn't knock out Midnight Hammer, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, if we didn't do that with Midnight Hammer, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it long before now. And at a minimum, Israel would have been annihilated. I was very lucky that we had the courage to do that, that we had the talented pilots and the great equipment. The B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way. The newer, better version. It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far. You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer. They never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear, we want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site, and that was protected by granite. They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper. They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process while rapidly building conventional ballistic missiles. They were going to do it all at the same time. It threatened our overseas bases and soon could have reached even our homeland. The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So as you probably saw, they had a tremendous number of missiles, most of which are now being used or destroyed, and very unsuccessfully used because we have been able, for the most part, to shoot them all down. What incredible technology. The Patriots have been unbelievable, and other things. And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Where literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what other things are doing. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And if you notice, they did something which was very foolish, very stupid, I would say. They attacked their neighbors. And their neighbors were largely neutral, or at least weren't going to be involved, and they got attacked. And it had the reverse effect. The neighbors came onto our side and started attacking them, and actually quite successfully. If you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at UAE, Qatar, and others, but they were strong and they were smart, but they got attacked. Nobody, when I first heard it, I said, no, somebody made a mistake. There was no mistake. UAE had over 1,000 missiles shot at it, knocked them almost all down. On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said, quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons, and all I'm doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger threat now, but no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that way. As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world, and I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply, and if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time, and we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and all of the, we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle.
As you could see, he nonstop keeps saying about the missiles that Iran has. And this is the constant story that we hear. The nuclear weapons, right, that Netanyahu is famous for constantly saying. And he's been saying that since, what, the 1980s, that Iran is just 30 days away from building nuclear weapons, so we got to get in there. That's what he's been saying since 1980. He's been saying it for like over 30 years or something, man. It's really amazing. And there's a chat on the side here. I know you guys can't really see it because it's kind of cut off. Even if I did pull it over, it's probably too small to read. But these people they believe all this stuff. It's really insane. Listen, those of you who are awake like me, we know this is a whole crock of shit. And I'm probably not even going to play anymore of this because it's just, like, honestly, if you want to watch the rest of it, you can. But I think I've heard enough. Like, I get the gist of what he's saying. And I figured it was going to be like this anyway. So, yeah, man, I'll just give my little reaction to what he's saying. Because, listen, you have to understand that politics is fake. Until people could really understand that, don't expect anything to change at all, because nothing's going to change or get better until people wake the hell up. That's just the truth of the matter. I've been saying since 2019, man, when I first made videos, that politics is fake. And this is a very simple thing that I sound like a broken record talking about, because people don't get it. There's no other way I can put it. They simply don't understand what is going on. They keep falling for the left-right paradigm. If you read that chat, conservatives are saying, we don't want Iran getting nuclear weapons or possessing them. And Trump is saying a whole crock of shit how, oh yeah, they're basically defeated. They are, they're nothing to worry about. He just keeps belittling them, right? That's all he's really doing is just belittling Iran. And if we really got into a war, let's just say this whole thing was real, of course the United States would win, and Iran really is not going to benefit. So it makes no sense why they're in the war. Again, if you're aware, you know that Iran is just the scapegoat, the pawn for the excuse. You know, the war on terror. It's the war on terror all over again, just like 9/11. And people fall for it, man. There's more people that are awake to it now than back then, I would think. But even if, man, you know, it always comes down to people who are slightly awake to, well, it's the lesser of the two evils, man. This is better than Kamala. Would you rather the Democrats in? And then they start talking about the illegal immigrants and the transgenders. And I know Trump even mentioned that slightly at one point. But it's not even as much of a talk anymore. And it's just boring because, yeah, that whole stuff that happened, you know, from 2020 to until Trump came back in office, yeah, it was crazy and it was deliberately done. And now people are still focusing on that as if it's important, and LGBTQ and all that. And, you know, like if we get to the next presidential election, I'm sure some Democrat will come in and the pendulum's going to swing again. And we're going to wish to how we were now and vice versa. The other side's going to want it to be how it was. And, you know, people are just going to keep fighting. Listen, I don't really know where it's going to go exactly. I can't predict anything. You know, maybe nothing will come of this. Maybe it's just rumors of wars. Or maybe this is going to turn into something. And that something could be a potential false flag event here in the United States that gets blamed on Iran. Or it could maybe even be against Israel. We all know that the United States really is the United States of Israel. We know this. It's very obvious. And that this is a whole other debate where people want to talk about Zionism and the Jews being the chosen people of the Bible. And I get all the arguments. I really, truly do. But there is a bigger picture at play. And I guess, you know, it's hard to even talk about the bigger picture with people because people don't understand the bigger picture. And that's why it's like I sound like a broken record because it's like I just got to keep hammering the very basics until people actually get it. And I feel like I'm at a point where I have people understanding that, but now it comes to a point where, all right, what are they going to do about it? All right, maybe they're not going to go vote and waste their time. That's good. You know, that's a step. But now we need people talking about it, letting people know, hey, this is this left-right paradigm is fake. And it's just, like I said in the chat, it's very amazing, reading all the stuff people say, how, we're going to get drafted, they're going to draft your children, Trump is lying, Trump is this, Trump is that. You see, you have a good chunk of the population that believes the crock of shit. They just believe it. None of what Trump is saying is true. It's April Fool's Day, mind you, which is funny. It's funny that he's giving this speech on April Fool's Day because you see how much he's belittling Iran and saying that they're in such a mess and all that. That's really us. He's referring to us. That's the joke. Do you know why April Fool's is a thing? Because today is actually the first day of the real New Year. It doesn't start on January 1st. It starts on April 1st in spring when everything becomes alive and grows again. Makes sense, doesn't it? Why would the New Year start in the dead season? So that's the joke, because on their calendar, the dark occult calendar that they follow, today is their New Year. And it really is. It's not their New Year. It is the New Year. But they're the ones that acknowledge that. Unlike us, we think it's January 1st. Because everything we know is wrong. Everything we know is backwards. That's why, that's really what I was just going to get at, ultimately. My main point of making this video is I was going to react to, because I knew that whatever Trump said, he was really going to be referring to us. And it's funny how he's talking about, well, we have all these weapons, and I mean, Iran has all these weapons. Yeah, the United States has all these weapons, he means. And he was talking about lasers. Remember that? Where he mentioned lasers? And it's funny, he's using buzzwords like the Patriots are out there using these weapons. We're talking about war and killing people, mind you. And he's just bragging about it. But it's normal now. It's normal to hear about, because we've heard about wars our whole lives, for generations now. And we think it's normal. We think that being violent and killing people is a moral thing to do under some sort of patriotism, right? Because that's what it is. It's like we think we're doing something good for the people of our country and for ourselves. We think we're doing something right, but we're not. Supporting any sort of war, you know, when it comes to military, the police. I'm dropping a video that's probably gonna be this Friday about, and there's a segment in there where I go off about the police. We need to stop supporting these things because the military and the police, they're the dogs of the elite. They protect the elite and they do the dirty work for the elite. They're not part of the elite, but they simply just do the dirty work. They're the ones doing the killing, doing all the immoral stuff. taking over people's land and resources, stealing, murdering, all of those sins. And it's justified because, you know, there's some sort of patriotism attached to it. It doesn't have to just be United States. It could be whatever country. I'm sure their military is just as brainwashed as the United States, right? They're no different. So we've come to a point, man, where people, unfortunately, they just don't really see the forest for the trees. They do not see where this is leading us. It could be some sort of false flag event. This could just be a long, dragged-out thing in order to maybe crash the economy with oil. Maybe they're just going to spend a long time, you know, driving up oil prices, you know, just destroying the dollar even more. I really thought the dollar would have crashed now, and I'm not going to keep saying that it's going to crash because we all know the dollar's going to crash. You know, anyone can predict that at this point. I've been saying that though since like 2019 though, that the dollar isn't going to last. And you know, I started investing in precious metals back then, and they've gone up tremendously in value. It's one of the smartest things I've ever done. It's come a long way, and it's really helped me in times of emergencies if I needed emergency cash or whatever. But I'm not going to sit here and cry about, you know, the dollar and things being expensive. And I'm not even going to talk about the economy crashing. It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point. And a lot of people, I think, know that. And it could be through war, right? That's a very good way they can do it because of tensions in the Middle East, right? Maybe they just want to wipe out Iran. Maybe they're just going to wipe them out. Maybe they're just going to completely destroy Gaza even more than it's already has been destroyed. And they're just going to do the rebuild in the Greater Israel Project and start smart cities. Remember Trump was talking about that Trump city in Palestine? So we got a lot of wild things going on, man. And unfortunately, when I look at chats like I was just doing, you know, glancing at when Trump was speaking, when I log into X, when I see political things on Instagram or TikTok and I read the comments, or you just listen to people's reactions in person if something comes up, people's heads are not where they should be, the vast majority. Either people have the complete wrong idea about something, they're falling down conspiracy theory rabbit holes if they can get past politics. There's that. There's the people who can't get past politics and are still arguing about who they're going to vote for. And then there's people who just don't really care. There's people who just don't care and don't pay attention to anything and they don't know nothing. But a lot of what I'm seeing these days is, and I've been speaking about this a lot now for over a year, is I see a lot of people, especially on X, that pretty much know truth, probably more than I do, and they just don't have any content. They just tweet all day. We're not going to get anything accomplished by being keyboard warriors. That's something I've realized. I'm putting myself out here. I don't understand why other people can't. Why do I have to take all the risks? I'm just one person. You know, you can't outsource everything to me. You might, maybe you disagree, maybe you think I'm wrong. Okay, go make content disproving what I'm saying. Go write a book or something. Go make music talking about whatever it is you want to talk about. Go do something and you create something then. Because quite frankly, when I look at a lot of guys, a lot of women, and I'm using guys more as an example because guys are supposed to be the strong ones who stand for stuff and fight and protect, which obviously guys are not like that today. Because we got guys that care more about their football team losing than they do about getting taxed or inflation, anything like that. No, they don't care about that, but if their football team loses, they throw a fit, right? So men used to fight and protect. Men used to do that. Men used to be that way, but men are not that way anymore. And so men are just not standing up. And I've said this too, even if what they're talking about is wrong, they're not completely correct with what they're saying, at least they have the courage to get out there and get these discussions going. Because, okay, yeah, there's going to have to be people that wake up by maybe listening to these micro-influencers. Maybe these micro-influencers like Nick Fuentes, Myron Gaines, or Jake Shields, Candace Owens, Alex Jones even. You know, guys all like that. Ian Carroll. If these guys maybe could wake someone up, okay, great. But now this person needs to go deeper. But at that point, it's going to be kind of hard because now they think they've got things figured out. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect, you know, which I talked about too, how the dude I had on my live that unfortunately he made me take down, he was really suffering badly from the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is basically you know so much but you know so little. Because you see, people are being fed all this surface level things, all these conspiracy theories that are conspiracies, or they're conspiracies that are true, but that just lead nowhere and that aren't really that important. You see, the real questions don't get raised in these realms, or the people are just misleading, right? Because I believe all those micro-influencers that I mentioned are paid agents. I do believe that. Maybe they're just useful idiots. I could be wrong. I don't know these people. Hell, I'd love to do a podcast with some of those people, right? Because we're all pretty much in the same generation, same age range, have similar beliefs. There's going to be contradictory, of course, but they're not going to have someone on like me. And I'm assuming part of their contract is to not have someone on like me who's going to go too far, who's going to say too much, who's going to be too real and too raw. And it's not because I'm special. It's just because I don't have corporate sponsors. Those guys probably have corporate sponsors where they're getting paid big bucks every month. I don't have that. So I can say what I want. I want my platform, I want other people to come on and be able to say what they want. You know, I try to get people to do that. So not to get too far off topic, but, you know, really the basis and why I'm not even going to continue. I'm sure, I don't know if the speech is still going or what, or because there was probably a good chunk of it that I didn't get beforehand, and that I'm not going to get now. But it's because it's hard to listen to, man. It's just all bullshit. Everything he's saying is not true. Every time he's talking about Iran being in bad condition, in bad shape, oh, how unfortunate for them. He's talking about us, and they want to go in there. They want to take over their oil fields. I'm pretty sure Iran has its own private central bank. They're not part of the Rothschild banking cartel, so they want to obviously take over that. But there's energy. They want to expand Israel. It's hard to pinpoint, you know, and I'm not here to, like, predict the future. I kind of used to try and do that a lot where I'm predicting things to happen. You know, whatever does happen, if you know truth, you don't have to have everything figured out, but if you know the basis of things, and if you can just accept it and look into these things on a daily basis and further in your research and especially work on, you know, how you view things, that these things are pretty easy to see. You know, let's just say right now the power goes out. For, let's just say 1 week, power goes out. And we have no news source or anything like that. And I'm sure what's going to happen, let's just say, is once power comes back on, because that definitely is part of their agenda to knock out power, knock out internet, cyber attacks, whatever it might be. It's not going to be for a long period of time. It may be a couple weeks, maybe a month or two at most. It's not going to be like it's permanent or anything, because of course we're walking into a digital prison, which is technocracy, which I'm sure is just knocking at the door. I'm sure all the technology they have to really put us in a technical utopia is ready to go. Now it's just about convincing the people. Now it's just about getting us on board with it. Remember, they're not going to force anything on us. They're gonna basically have you be like, oh yeah, I want this. It's like someone saying, okay, I'm going to inject you with poison, but instead of forcing it on you, they're just going to make you or trick you into saying that you want it. Kind of like what happened 6 years ago, right? So I think I was trying to make a point about something, but I don't really remember. But Trump also did mention, right, in that speech about digital IDs, they want to see a picture of you, they want to see who's voting. We've been hearing talks about digital IDs, and the excuse is going to be because the other side is going to cheat, probably on both sides. I'm sure Democrats are going to be, actually, no, I don't think Democrats are okay with it. But, you know, what's funny about Democrats is they want these kind of things when their side is in office or when it seems like it benefits them. Like with COVID, for example, how they all wanted the digital vaccination and proof that you have, that you know what, right? And now it's just going to become with voting. And what this is really in disguise is everything's going to turn this way. Maybe you want to buy food at the store, you're going to have some sort of digital ID, and it's going to all be centralized to where you're going to pay for it. Kind of like, actually, okay, it's good that this slide came up. Let's say that's you, right? That this is the future, right? This is 10 years in the future. This is how you pay. Maybe there's some sort of chip in your hand, or you just scan your hand or your face on something. Your profile comes up, a picture of you, right? Oh, and it can't mess up because it's digital, and the system and technology and the artificial intelligence can't make any mistakes, right? That's what they're going to say. Everything comes up there, right? Maybe on one side you got your banking information and your personal information and all that, and then that's how you'll just pay for things. You know, and the reason they want this, the reason why they don't want cash anymore, the reason why the US dollar has to fail and why it was designed to fail, is so that we can transition into a new world order. So we can transition into something new. Now, they might not, everything they have that they planned, maybe it won't go accordingly, right? Maybe they have to use a plan B or even a plan C sometimes. You know, I'm not on the inside. I don't know exactly how they're going to do things or how everything works. But again, I know the basics, and I've never really had a problem. Maybe it's my ego's not as big as most people, but I've never had much of an issue accepting that the basics, that politics is fake. There is a dark occult that runs the world and pretty much lied to us about everything. Everything that I've come to know is pretty much, 99% of what I know and came to know is not true. Everyone around me is deceived, including my family and my friends even, and everyone I'm surrounded by, right? I'm not going to say all my friends are asleep, but, everyone I'm surrounded by, for the most part, 99% of people are asleep. And that's what you realize, right, when you start waking up. But these people are pulling the strings, and the way they do it is going generations back. They've monopolized industry. They've monopolized the oil industry. They monopolize media. They monopolize money because they print the money. And I even spoke about in the video that's coming out Friday, that they monopolize law enforcement because these are all government employees who serve Big Brother. They don't serve me and you, right? They monopolize medicine because of Big Pharma and all that. And they also monopolize education because they started and funded the General Education Board over 100 years ago, which is now the modern education system. And when you see that all these same people did these things, you then get a bigger picture and realize, so it's these elites, these elite, rich, wealthy families that you never even really hear about that are actually controlling things and pulling the strings. Now, of course, things go beyond them as well, which we're not going to get into here. But just to paint a very basic picture for people, that's how things are operating right now. And been operating, and are going to continue to operate until people wake the hell up. And some people might even be asking, well, why are they doing this? I don't understand. And people have a hard time grasping this because your average everyday person doesn't have a desire to control, right? Your average everyday person doesn't wake up and think about, maybe they want some sort of control over a person they know or if their money or their business or their family members. Maybe they want to control people in a friendship, personal type of way, but they don't want to control the world. They don't have a desire to control the entire world, right? Because your average everyday person is just trying to survive and feed themselves and their family and give the best for themselves and their family. So they don't think about these things. But there's psychopaths out there, and that's also because most people aren't psychopaths. The people who are in charge and control everything and pull the strings, and there's a reason why they're called the dark occult. They're called the dark occult because they're using the powers that they have, the knowledge they have, for evil. It's not for good. They're using it to only benefit them. They have created and farmed a very immoral society. And it was designed that way. And nothing is by coincidence. This is what people gotta understand is absolutely nothing is by coincidence. So it's a shame people don't realize these things, man. It's very unfortunate they can't realize these things. But I wish that more people who knew spoke up. There was a dude last year named Shammy Deep who I made a good amount of videos with. I'm not sure how many, maybe close to 10, something like that. And they're still up. You can go look at them in my archives from last year. And I thought we had pretty good videos. They weren't perfect, but they were pretty good. And he's a very enlightened guy, but he just lacks courage. I don't know what's going on in his life. I don't know him that well personally. I know enough to know that he doesn't really have much excuses to not be spreading the truth. And people just come on when they feel like it. They make the content when they feel like it. And again, everything is bad because not enough people speak on these things. If we could just get half the population speaking about these things and having these things as a topic, and we can get past the censorship and the algorithms that work against us, we could start seeing some real change in the world, man. I really believe that. It looks like it's not going to happen, though, more than likely, because, unfortunately, most people are just way too ignorant. Most people that I see are just not going to come out of their ignorance. And I had to stop hanging out with some people recently, because I just realized that these people are because I'm hanging around some people, giving them chances because I think that I could wake them up, but it's not going to happen, It's so funny how some people I've had on social media for years now, and they've seen me posting this kind of content, and like I just wonder if the people who've had me for years, like, because they never engage with it or anything, I wonder if I like have done anything, if I like help them in waking up, or if they just skim past my stuff and think, oh, another stupid video, and people are probably just laughing at me because they think the stuff I'm talking about is crazy. But I mean, it's not even hidden, which is funny. Like people, this is why I get mad. People are choosing to be ignorant. People have time. Most dudes, like, you know, it's crazy. I was born in 1997. I'm 29. Crazy to think that, you know, people born then are almost turning 30, right? And a lot of people, and I spoke about this a lot in my content, how people in my age bracket don't have kids really. They aren't married. A lot of them don't even have boyfriends and girlfriends. Sure, a lot of people maybe have jobs and all, but you know what? Do the math on your phone and calculate how many hours you work. Take how many hours you work and how many hours you sleep and subtract that from how many hours are in a whole week. And let me know what you spend that time doing, because we have time. People just make excuses. Maybe they get caught doom scrolling on their phone. Hell, it happens to me. But people make a habit out of these things. And it's kind of like what I was talking about with KVN Moya, who I wonder if he's still in here. Maybe he could say something in the chat if he's still in here. But we were talking about in the chat sports, right? How sports can be a good outlet to have some fun and experience competitiveness and just do something, get some exercise, right? Be a part of a team of some sort. And some people just love sports. Like sports is basketball is a fun sport. Let's be real, right? But the problem becomes, and especially when it comes to the entertainment aspect of just watching it on the corporate level, such as the pro sports, is people just make it their lives. You know, they can memorize like every player on every team. They're totally up to date with what's going on. If there's trades going on in the off season, whatever the hell, the draft, right? Everything that goes on in these sports. Hell, and I know sports betting really has blown up a lot throughout the years now. So people make bad habits out of that, and that's just an example. There's plenty of things and plenty of ways that we waste our time, right? And that's just an example. But my point with what I'm trying to say is I don't know what to do anymore, because I'm trying to just lead by example at this point, right? I don't have excuses. I could make excuses, but you know, at this point I'm too strong-willed to let my excuses get to me, right? We're only here for a short amount of time. Like, I don't want to look back and have regrets when I knew I could have been doing something and I didn't take that action. That's why I like the gym. I've been going to the gym for, 13 years now. Yeah, 13 years. It's not like I've gone every single day or consistently every week even, or every month, let alone those 13 years. But my point is that, getting to the age that I'm at, not that I'm really that old, but I'm at the age where if someone hasn't been taking care of themselves the past 10 years, you could really